think I was just the opposite of Andrew in college. I could never figure out what my major should be. I changed it 12 times. And finally just dropped out of college altogether. And actually I flunked out of college. And traveled around Europe for a while, became an upholsterer for a while. Decided that the modern world was not like the world that had been around for the last several thousand years. You couldn't really ignore the world because the world wouldn't let you. It was too small a world. Technology, even in the 70s, had already made this, shrunk the world so much that they wouldn't leave me alone. All I really wanted to do was travel around, hitchhike around the world forever and not be bothered with responsibilities. The second best thing seemed to be to become a diplomat. Let the government pay for my traveling around the world. And also do something useful. Something that perhaps, I think Andrew touched upon it, that you have to be engaging enough and have enough personality, interpersonal skills, so you could relate to other people and talk with them even if you disagree with them often. So that's what I did. I was an international relations major, political science. Eventually, when I went back to college after squandering my youth, not doing anything, I tried to be a lawyer. That didn't work out, way too boring. But foreign service, you know, if you decide to become a diplomat, the wonderful thing about it is that you really are learning a new job every 2 or 3 years. I think it's the same acronym in ADD, Attention Deficit Disorder. I think if you have ADD, then you're the perfect diplomat, because you just have to learn new things. You could never be bored because you're in a new country, a new culture, with new problems everywhere you go, every 2 or 3 years, which is wonderful, if you're like that. We, in the American Foreign Service, we tend not to like specialists. We want generalists. We want people who know a little bit about everything. So you could hold a conversation with anybody on history or economics or philosophy or English literature, whatever it is, so that you are well-rounded. That's the word, euphemism we like to use. What it really means is that you're very superficial and shallow. You don't know anything a lot. If you're good at mathematics or good at physics or good at something else, then you probably won't be a good diplomat. If you're as the English phrase is, a jack of all trades and a master of none, then you're probably a good diplomat. That's my excuse for not having any real depth of knowledge of anything. Our embassy here, I think, is pretty much like the British embassy or any other embassy here. We are divided. We have 5 basic functions. There's the political function, which everyone knows about the most. And in this particular country, we focus on things like ethical issues having to do with human rights, like the Roma issue or the erased, the mass graves from post-World War II, that group of issues. We also worry about regional stability, the Croatia-Slovenian border issue especially, and how we bring the rest of the Balkan countries into the EU to protect this region from flare-ups of violence and instability. Then beyond political, we have the economic section, which I again think is very similar in any embassy, where you need a little bit of specialization to understand the economic issues and concepts. And there we're talking about economic reform here in Slovenia, as well as what Andrew said, trying to develop better commercial relations, having foreign American companies come in here and invest in this country, and getting Slovene companies interested in America. Then we have the consular section, which takes care of Americans, and when they get too drunk or too rowdy here, or when Slovenians need visas to America, students especially. Then we have management, which just takes care of the whole embassy. And then the most important, actually, in this country is public affairs. Because after 30 years in my foreign service career, I've always been in the third world, where the governments hate us and the people love us. And now I'm in Slovenia, where the government likes us, and the people are suspicious of us. So it's a wonderful change to be thought of differently. So public relations, dealing with student groups or going to business conferences or talking anywhere to anyone is really the most important thing for us. Because it's engagement with the public, which is the most important thing in a country like Slovenia. And so we do, a lot of our focus in our embassy has to do with that. Otherwise, you know, normally I wouldn't come to a thing like this because you guys are all so boring, but I have to. Because public engagement is the thing we do most in this country. That's a joke. What else should I say? I think that being international, even when I was in college in the mid-70s, people were saying there were too many international relations majors, there were too many political science majors, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of effort. I've never agreed with that. I think that even if you never become diplomats, even if you never engage in international business or whatever else you're interested in, it makes you a better citizen. It gives you a better sense of civic responsibility, and you better understand the world and the different ideologies and the different cultures and the different conflicts that are going on for generation after generation. So I would never say, even if you never work in this field, that it's a waste of your time.